Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Propagandacast Lehr with me, your host, Imperial Dane. We're off here to have a look at the Stravniki, the penal troops. There have been a few requests for that, and I sort of intended to get around to them. So here we are, the penal troops. Whoops! I don't know how to speed it up there. And as you know, he immediately popped into the scout car. But the Stravniki, a 6-man squad, slightly more expensive than your average conscript squad, and in essence, the sort of damage rate they have is basically at short to medium range, they're better than the conscripts. At longer range, though, the conscripts win out. Also, they don't get sprint until they hit mid 22, where the conscripts also have a slight more mobility advantage initially. And then, sort of another little thing is no Molotovs, no anti-tank grenades. What they do, on the other hand, have are satchel charges and flamethrowers. The flamethrowers generally sort of further boost their close to medium quarters combat ability. And they certainly also have these are used sort of in a scout car, for example, as we see here. No upgrade yet, sort of been popped in there. But overall, sort of short to medium range competence, depending on what they're fighting, though, they want to sort of engage at different ranges. And for example, the scout car in here, though, they actually probably should have been engaging the assault grenadiers up close. The assault grenadiers would have won that. They should have been staying at medium range and allowed the assault grenadiers to close in. That way they should not have been rushing in, for example. So in that department, I mean semi-automatic rifles. Basically, if you're fighting bolt action rifles, you want to get close. If you're fighting submachine guns or assault rifle, you want to sort of stay a bit of range and not get too close on your own, at least. You can allow the opponent to close in, but you don't want to close in yourself. And that's in that department the essential gist of that. They also benefit a bit more from their veterans abilities, which overall sort of increases their lethality with their infantry weapons. So some units actually have that, and Stravniki are one of those who sort of benefit more from it. And for example, here again, the assault gunners have to close in, and overall with the scout car, though this does do it, the assault gunners here do. I mean, short to medium range, they can generally dominate to a certain extent, though, again, all depending on the unit and whatnot. So that is something to keep in mind regarding them, and of course when you're fighting them as the Germans. Right here, though, the fellow here is not handling his assault grenades very well versus the Stravniki, and of course penal troops with scout cars is one way of reasonably well countering assault grenadiers. Stravniki themselves can also, under the right conditions, reasonably well handle the assault grenadiers, though depending on then how the assault grenadiers are played, you can still end up losing your penal battalion. So that is something to keep in mind. What you generally want to avoid is sort of just going in versus grenadiers. Like machine guns, those, for example, are one of the greater threats to the penal troops. But even with a flamethrower, for example, that is also rather vital to keep in mind before you throw them away. As a sort of force you can use, they're slightly more expensive than the conscripts in several regards. I mean, you know, you can sort of go penal troops only, though you will find it reasonably more expensive than just going for conscripts. And in some regards, you will be a lot more vulnerable. For example, one really sound counter to a heavy penal battalion build is, for example, getting a scout car to Germans upgrade with the autocannon, and then engaging from short to medium range. Though generally, when they want to sort of stay at medium range, because they, if you're a bit careful, you can end up taking too much damage. At the same time, once you then hit retreat, you close in and sort of really begin taking them out, because again, the Stravniki have no anti-tank capabilities. At least nothing they could deal with something like a scout car. Though versus a tank, the satchel charge can actually be utilized. If you throw it correctly and the tank drives over it, it will actually detonate the satchel charge. So that's actually a little trick there for you at home when dealing with armor and you only got penal troops. You know, try if you can sort of predict where the tank is moving, lob a satchel charge, then sort of time it correctly so it just runs over, so it doesn't have time to react to what's going on, and that blows it up. That can actually do a lot of damage to a tank. Satchel charges also serve quite effectively at clearing up bunkers. The bunkers were changed a bit so they can basically be cleared up with one satchel charge only. So that's a little something there as well for you, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, Veteran 2 Ura, which sort of allows them to also sprint around like the conscripts, and again close in with a semi-automatic rifles, and of course the flamethrowers. The flamethrower roll, a pretty nasty upgrade there on the Stravniki. I mean, overall you get a bit more than, say, the combat units, because again they get more veterancy bonus, but also they're larger squads. They're going to be harder to take down, and you're also a lot less likely to just lose the flamethrower like that. So if you keep those things in mind, you'll generally find yourself getting a lot out of your penal troops and doing a lot of nasty things to your opponent. Of course, your opponent, again, you know, you'll want to engage them at range if preferable. Light machine guns, scout covers, upgrades, tanks, all that. You know, again, though, don't get too close, you get hit by the satchel charge. Generally work out right. Also, not mine-proof. Scout cars also not mine-proof. Just a quick note there. So in general, I mean that you can also sort of try and merge them with conscripts to sort of keep them that way a bit more up. There's not, I think, such a huge difference in reinforcement cost, but still, for example, on the battlefield, I mean, there's nothing wrong then sacrificing a few conscripts to keep a penal troop up to full strength in that regard then. So keeping those things in mind again, you know, you can get more out of them. Your opponent can also try and sort of not get horribly murdered by them or try to horribly murder them in return. If you do that, depending on the site, you'll generally find yourself doing alright. The penal troops are solid troops, though again, not ranged troops. They will pretty much lose their range to any unit in the game, except maybe, you know, submachine gunners like the assault grenadiers or the pioneers. So that is survives to keep in mind again. Scout car upgraded though. There we go. Port manned up, which generally improves its anti-infantry lethality. In this case, dealing with the scout cars of the penal troops themselves, they're not taking an awful lot of damage. And again, the scout cars should not really be a bit careful because again, extended fire towards it can end up damaging. I mean, the scout car is not that heavy damage and hitting well armor. It's not a tank. But again, note there, assault guns in this case are actually close in, though in this case, also taking a lot of fire, but still, if maybe they'd been a bit on them, they'd probably done better. In this case, again, closed in, took a lot of damage, lots of Strafniki, quickly tore them apart. Again, short to medium range, they can be nasty, though again, depending on how you do it, your assault guns can win up close, though if you move across open ground towards them, you will lose. Same with Panzer Grenadiers, same with Grenadiers. Again, generally depending on what you have, fight with different ranges. Again, that also applies to you. Depending on the range or the weapon you're facing, engage at different ranges. Bolt, closer. For example, you don't engage range. Submachine guns, assault rifles, try to sort of engage a bit further away. Don't get too close, and certainly your flamethrower will help you also in those cases where you have to get closer. That will really give you the edge. Satchel charge is good for clearing out bunkers, throwing under tanks, stuff like that. So hopefully with that you've got a better understanding of your penal troops, how to get the most out of them, and how to deal with them as the Germans. And of course, if you enjoyed this, feel free to subscribe, tell your friends, share it with everyone. If not, you know, I'm terribly sorry, but you also feel free to suggest another topic. I sort of try to keep in mind them all, but again, I might forget and all something that. But anyways, keep posting, keep suggesting. I'll try to get through it all. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers and wishing you all a good day.